Hello there. For those who don't know me, my name is Leanne Haley-Burton and I am a professional intuitive consultant and self-published author. Now, given the nature of my work, it might surprise you to hear that I am actually quite sceptical, especially where the psychic and spiritual arena is concerned. But let's face it, there is plenty to be sceptical about. Anyway, although a lot of people are always on the lookout for spiritual signs such as feathers or rainbows, I've always been a little less keen to jump to conclusions. So you can see that if something or someone who is not of this physical world is trying to catch my attention, it has to either hit me between the eyes or be a bit different. And I believe that something of that nature occurred recently. And I made a video of it to send to my daughters, which I'm going to share with you very soon. First, however, I need to set the scene. In the third week of January of this year, one of our two beloved cats suddenly became poorly. Our Tatty, a huge, strong boy and such a loving, affectionate character. He was off his food and he appeared to have no energy. We took him to our vet, which involved a long car journey, and he hated every second of it. He was squeezed and prodded and injected before we were advised to bring him home and monitor his progress. 2 days later, on the Friday, we were back there because he was no better. They ran blood tests while we waited and they all came back clear. And so it was decided that he probably had a virus, and antibiotics and an anti-inflammatory treatment were prescribed, with the assurance that by the following Monday he would be back to normal. We were so relieved and off we went again. However, by the following morning he was really ill and breathing through his mouth. We were panic-stricken and I sent a video to our vet, who immediately called and told us to take him directly to an animal hospital that was over an hour's drive away. Poor Tatty, off he was dragged again, and I'll be honest, I cried all the way there, stroking his head and telling him how much we love him. To cut a horrible, heartbreaking story short, we arrived back home much later that day with our poor boy's body. The 27th of January 24 was his last day on this planet. We were, and still are, devastated. There is a huge tatty-shaped hole in both of our hearts and in this world. We honestly believed that we'd have him for several more years. My partner built a wooden planter for him to be laid to rest in, weeping as he sawed and drilled wood. The silence in the house was palpable for days. It wasn't a peaceful silence, it was like a heavy but empty silence. And on the morning of the day after he passed, I dreaded getting out of bed and not seeing him come to greet me. I dreaded not seeing him jump up onto the work surface to give me headbutt kisses. I couldn't bear not to be able to give him one of his favourite chews before letting him outside. And I was angry. It had been exactly a year before, less one day, when my youngest daughter's beloved Chumbo, a big, strong 2-year-old male, had suddenly and unexpectedly become ill with, it turned out, a blood clot from a heart murmur that no one knew he had, not even the vet. And he died at the same hospital. It was like a horrible repeat, though all we can put it down to is awful coincidence. She was and still is heartbroken. Anyway, I went down a few rabbit holes, I can tell you, and I've had more than a few strong words with death and with God, and we've just cried and cried. I couldn't face the world for a few days and couldn't even drag myself into the shower, living in my own sweat and grease and misery. Finally, though, I knew I had to at least wash myself in my hair, and I stood in the shower for a very long time. And I was also debating whether or not to attend my kickboxing school. I'd missed a few classes, but I wasn't sure that I could face it. And this is where my little video comes in, explaining my sign or message, whatever you want to call it. I apologised in advance for it being in my cluttered office cum dressing area and for the wet towel to still be draped over the chair. But this video was made to send to my daughters. However, I suddenly decided to share it understanding that I probably will be judged. Here's a strange thing. I've just finally had a shower. I have been wallowing for days, couldn't even drag myself into the shower. I'll wash my hair. I've been lying in my own muck anyway. I thought I have to so I've been ages in the shower. And I sat there in my chair for a while after I dried myself, and I'd been listening to a video on near-death experience. Anyway, I thought, right, okay, come on, what shall I do? So I'd got myself dried and all of that, and I went over and I was thinking about Tatty, and I was thinking about Dave. I went over and I thought, do you know what? I'm going to put some perfume on. So I sprayed it, and while I was thinking about Dave, I was thinking, I don't know what to do with him, because, you know, I feel like somebody's thrown a hand grenade into the center of my being. So it's been, it has, and this is going to sound dramatic to you, but I can only explain it as this last week has been like a life-changing experience in a different way than when we've normally lost animals. There's something bigger here. However, I was thinking about Dave and I thought he's really grief-stricken, and at least I've got this knowledge. I've got these years of delving, and I've got beliefs, and I've got, you know, my mind is used to questioning, but he hasn't got any of that. And I thought, what can I do? And then it came into my head, or, you know, I thought, all I can do is love him. All I can do is love him and support him, and that's it. Anyway, I walked away, and this has never ever happened before. I didn't bump into the cupboard. I just put the perfume down. You can see where it is there. And I just walked here, and all of a sudden there was a clatter behind me. And I turned and looked down, and this was on the floor. But what I'd also been thinking about was, I don't know what to do tonight. I don't know whether to go or not. I don't know what to do. And then this flew down. So see those two belts? Well, they were on top of there, and the postcard was on the top of there, and the Buddha was somewhere at the back. Even the little ornament at the front didn't come down, and it's never ever fallen down before, and that's how it landed on the floor. And I looked at it, and it says, "You're doing great. Thanks for being awesome," with a Buddha on the top. And I thought, oh my God, that is a real message. Somebody saying to me, it's okay, you're doing great. And probably maybe also saying, you know what, maybe you do need to get back there. But anyway, I thought I'd share that with you because that just blew me away. I would like to add that I do know for sure that Tatty is perfectly fine. In a meditation, I saw him in the top right-hand corner of the surgery, looking down on us as he left his body, and I also felt him gravitating toward what can only be described as indescribable love, beyond human comprehension. And I have been very aware of his presence, particularly one night on the bed, which helped me to drift off to sleep quite peacefully that night. But it is his physical presence we miss, and always will. But we know that if Tatty is perfectly fine, then all of the other beloved animals that we've lost, and the beloved animals that you yourself have lost, they will also be fine. Anyway, I hope you found it interesting. Bye.